Hello, I am Pradeep Kumar, Professor. Welcome you to the lecture on fluid pressure and its measurement being presented in three parts as listed. Similar to earlier lectures, in this lecture also presentation is in conversational mode and with a stress on concepts and practical applications. This lecture will help those students preparing for various competitive examinations and interviews. Now, let us proceed with the agenda of the presentation scheduled for the second part of this module. In the first part, we were convinced with the important role played by the pressure in day to day life. With experience, we know a pressure can be atmospheric, gauge, absolute, differential, static, stagnation, and dynamic pressure depending upon the situation and condition under which the pressure is measured or referred to. As each one is unique in its own way, let us briefly discuss them one by one. Atmospheric pressure. We know surface of the earth is surrounded by atmosphere extending over 500 kilometers and consists of various layers such as troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere, ionosphere and magnetosphere depending upon the temperature and altitude. However, we should not forget that atmosphere is a mixture of gases with each gas having its own weight. So, it is for sure that atmosphere exerts force on the surface with which it comes into contact. We know from earlier discussion that pressure is the force per unit area. Here, the agency causing the force is atmosphere. So, atmospheric pressure is defined as the force exerted by the atmosphere on an unit area as shown in figure. Torricelli, through his experiment using barometer, inferred that at sea level the atmospheric pressure is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury as shown in figure. It is equivalent to 10.3 meters of water or 1.03 kilogram force per square centimeter or 101.43 kilopascals. Atmosphere is almost omnipresent on the surface of the earth. Hence, majority of the pressure measuring devices such as gauges are manufactured taking atmospheric pressure as the reference. So whenever pressure at a point has to be expressed, it has become customary to refer that pressure with respect to atmospheric pressure. That is, pressure at the point may be more or less than the atmospheric pressure, and this more than or less than atmospheric pressure is known as gauge pressure. If the pressure at a point is more than atmospheric pressure, then it is called positive gauge pressure. If it is less, it is negative gauge pressure. For example, as shown in figure, if a tube of a tire has to be inflated, then the pressure needed is expressed as how much excess pressure over and above the atmospheric pressure has to be applied to operate the automobile efficiently. This is a good example for positive gauge pressure. Though the overall scene appears to be simple, Mother Nature has the habit of teasing and playing with its creations, including human beings. You can see the atmosphere is everywhere, but due to changes in weather, temperature, altitude, and other local conditions, composition of atmosphere is not same everywhere. So, is the atmospheric pressure with the fluctuations of plus or minus 5%. Further, there is a variation of plus or minus 200 millibars depending upon the height of measurement above the sea level, and also there is a variation of plus or minus 30 millibars per day depending upon weather conditions. Further, we assume that air is clean, dry and a perfect gas mixture. For example, situations such as weather and climatological studies, storage and delivery of toxic substances as shown in figure. In the study of aeronautics, high accuracy vacuum measurements such as vacuum pumps, vacuum reactors, distillation column wherein vacuum measurement is important, and static pressure in an oil or gas tanker, leakage controls in tanks, pipe networks and in various flow situations. which are very sensitive to changes in atmosphere. They need output of pressure measurement to be most reliable and accurate. Then, how to tackle the problem of variation in atmosphere while measuring the pressure? In the above situations, we need pressure measurements which are unaffected by changes in atmospheric pressure and its environment. We know problems come with the solutions. Only solution is to depend on the reference which is invariant irrespective of the environment of pressure measurement. Yes, that is absolute zero. Pressure measured with respect to absolute zero is known as absolute pressure. That is pressure of the empty space in the cosmos. In most of the cases till now, absolute pressure is always positive. This type of measurement is more expensive. Now, coming on to the relationship, if the pressure at a point is more than that of atmospheric pressure, then absolute pressure at that point is atmospheric pressure plus positive gauge pressure. Otherwise, if the pressure is less than atmospheric pressure, then absolute pressure at that point is atmospheric pressure minus vacuum pressure. Let us understand the above discussion through a figure, as figures speak better and clearer than the lengthy description. Let us consider absolute vacuum as datum on abscissa, local pressure as ordinate as shown in figure. Since atmospheric pressure is more than vacuum pressure, atmospheric pressure is represented as shown on positive ordinate along with variations in it. Consider 2 points A and B. The pressure at A is more than atmospheric, whereas the pressure at B is less than atmospheric. The gauge pressure at A is, whereas the absolute pressure is, gauge pressure and the absolute pressures at B are as shown in figure. In addition to atmospheric, gauge and absolute pressures, we often hear differential pressure, which is the difference in pressures between 2 points as shown in figures. This pressure does not consider the effect of atmospheric pressure. We find the application in flow measurement, monitoring of pumps and valves, irrigation needs, and fire monitoring systems, level measurements, density measurements, and in many day-to-day applications. Next in the list of pressures is a static pressure. It is the pressure exerted on the walls of a pipe or container due to a fluid at rest inside the pipe or container. It is also the pressure caused due to flow of a fluid parallel to the pipe wall as shown in figure. Static pressure is measured by inserting a tube into the pipe wall. Total pressure or stagnation pressure is the pressure of a flowing fluid when it is brought to rest. Next is dynamic pressure. It is the difference between the total pressure and the static pressure, or the impact pressure or pressure due to velocity. The details of these three pressures will be discussed later at an appropriate time. Let us go to the other aspects of pressure. Carefully hear what the figures want to convey. In the first one, larger the depth of the fluid, severe the pain. We know the pain is caused due to the pressure of the fluid on the palm. In the second figure, the jet from the third opening is shooting to a large distance compared to the jet oozing out of first opening. Fluid particles issuing out of third opening have more energy than those coming out through the opening 1. From both these figures, it is obvious that pressure increases with the depth of the fluid as more mass of the fluid gets accumulated on deeper layers. This is balanced by the increase in pressure. Further, it may be observed that pressure in a fluid at rest does not change in horizontal direction. Now, we will be curious to investigate the nature of relationship between pressure and the corresponding depth of fluid. Consider a point M in the fluid as shown in figure. Also consider a free body parallelepiped shaped element of size delta x by delta y by delta z. As the fluid is at rest, the element is in equilibrium due to pressure forces and its own weight. Let us evaluate the forces in x, y and z directions. We know the pressure force is equal to the product of pressure intensity and the area normal to the direction of action of the pressure. Let the pressure intensity at the point M be P. the pressure intensity along x direction on the left face of the element be P minus dou P by dou x into delta x by 2. On similar lines, let the pressure intensity on the right face of the element along x direction be P plus dou P by dou x into delta x by 2. Here in both the equations, it may be noted that dou P by dou x is the pressure gradient, that is variation of pressure along x direction. Delta x by 2 is the distance from the concerned face to the center of the element. So dou P by dou x into del x by 2 gives us the magnitude of change in pressure either from left face or right face to the center. Further, the negative sign or positive sign in the above equations are only qualitative. As discussed just now, let the pressure intensity at the point M be P. The pressure intensity on left hand side along x direction be P minus dou P by dou x del x by 2. On the right face it is P plus dou P by dou x del x by 2. Whereas along y direction on the front face the pressure intensity is P plus dou P by dou y into del y by 2. On the rear face along y direction it is P minus dou P by dou y del y by 2. And on the top face along z direction it is P plus dou P by dou z del z by 2, whereas at the bottom face the pressure intensity along z direction is P minus dou P by dou z del z by 2. Considering the weight of the element, we know weight is equal to weight by volume into volume, that is weight by volume is specific weight. So weight of the element accounts to gamma f into del x by del y by del z, where gamma f is the specific weight of the fluid. With the expressions for pressure intensities in x, y and z directions, let us evaluate the forces. The pressure force on the left face in x direction is the corresponding pressure and the area normal to the direction of action of the pressure. Similarly, the pressure force on right face is P plus dou P by dou x del x by 2 into del y by del z. Net pressure force in x direction is the difference between the expressions of 7 and 8 as represented by equation 9. But net pressure force must be equal to 0 as the fluid element is in equilibrium. That is P plus dou P by dou x del x by 2 into del y del z minus P minus dou P by dou x del x by 2 del y del z should be equal to 0 as denoted by equation 10. Taking del y del z out as it is common, then equation 10 becomes as P plus dou P by dou x del x by 2 minus P minus dou P by dou x del x by 2 into del y del z is equal to 0 as denoted by equation 11. On simplification of equation 11 as shown here, it becomes dou P by dou x into del x del y del z is equal to 0 as denoted by equation 12. Now it may be noted that equation 12 is the product of volume and the pressure gradient. Since volume cannot be 0, that is del x del y del z cannot be 0, dou P by dou x pressure gradient has to be 0 in x direction as denoted by equation 13, that is dou P by dou x is equal to 0. In y direction also dou P by dou y is equal to 0, that is equation 14. In z direction we have to consider the weight of the element gamma f into del x del y del z as denoted by equation 15. Therefore net force in z direction becomes P plus dou P by dou z into del z by 2 minus P minus dou P by dou z del z by 2 into del x del y plus gamma f into del x del y del z is equal to 0 as denoted by equation 16. On simplification, the above equation becomes dou P by dou z del x del y del z plus gamma f into del x del y del z is equal to 0. As is done earlier, taking del x, del y, del z out as it is common to both the terms, then equation 17 becomes dou p by dou z plus gamma f is equal to 0 as shown in equation 18. Unlike earlier cases, here dou p by dou z is not equal to 0 but it is equal to minus gamma f as represented by equation 19. Equations 13 and 14 indicate the pressure P at any point in a static mass of fluid does not vary in horizontal direction. However, as shown in equation 19, pressure varies along z direction, that is in vertical direction. Let us investigate it further deep. Equation 19 can be rewritten in total derivative form as dp is equal to minus rho g dz as denoted by equation 21. The negative sign indicates that the pressure decreases with altitude. In other words, pressure increases with the depth of the fluid. At this stage, it may be noted that equation 20, that is 21, holds good for both incompressible and compressible fluids. Further, for points at equal elevation, that is for points on a horizontal plane, dp is 0, that is pressure variation is 0. In simple, pressure is constant over a horizontal plane. Now, let us express equation 21 in a more practically applicable format. On integration of equation 21 for incompressible fluids, it becomes P is equal to minus gamma f z plus C as denoted by equation 22, where P is equal to pressure at a point z and C is the constant of integration. Value of constant of integration can be determined by using the boundary condition that the pressure on the free surface is atmospheric. For that, consider a reservoir with a depth of water h and the elevation of its bottom being z0 from an arbitrary datum. Then the elevation of free surface where pressure is atmospheric is z0 plus h. Also consider a point M at an elevation z from the arbitrary datum. Let the point M be at a depth of h from free surface. Substituting the conditions P is equal to P atmospheric and Z is equal to Z0 plus H in equation 22, it becomes P atmospheric is equal to minus gamma F into Z0 plus H plus C as denoted by equation 23. Then constant of integration C is equal to P atmospheric plus gamma F into Z0 plus H as denoted by equation 24. Substituting equation 24 in 22, then pressure at any point in general terms is equal to P atmospheric plus gamma F into Z0 plus H minus Z as denoted by equation 26. However, a glance at the figure indicates that Z0 plus H minus Z is equal to H. So it is obvious from equation 27 that pressure at any point H from the free surface is equal to sum of atmospheric pressure and specific weight times the depth of fluid up to the point under consideration. It is also obvious from equation 27 that pressure and depth of fluid are related linearly with respect to each other. A glance at equation 27 indicates that it presents absolute pressure at any point. It can be modified to determine the gauge pressure expressed as P is equal to gamma F into H. Further, it is convenient to express pressure in terms of linear scale as pressure head. H is equal to P by gamma F. Further, equation 29 can be used to find the relation between depths of liquids with the different specific weights but exerting same pressure. As shown in equation 31, H2 is equal to gamma F1 H1 by gamma F2, where gamma F1 and gamma F2 are the specific weights of the fluids, H1 and H2 are the corresponding depths of the fluids. The differential pressure between 2 points can be determined by using equation 30 as P1 minus P2 is equal to gamma F into H1 minus H2, where H1 and H2 are the corresponding depths at two different points. Again, coming back to equation 27, it can be pictorially represented as shown in figure. Figure 1 represents absolute pressure diagram wherein the pressure distribution diagram resembles a trapezium. Figure 2 represents a gauge pressure diagram which is similar to a right angled triangle with a linear variation of pressure with the depth of fluid. Further, equation 27 also infers that pressure is independent of shape and size of the container as shown in figure. Pressure at a point depends only on depth and specific weight of the fluid. In the case of compressible fluids, in which density varies with the pressure, with the prior knowledge on the relationship between pressure and density, we can determine the difference in pressure between any 2 points with respect to any arbitrary datum as denoted by equation 32, because there is no clear demarcation of free surface in the case of compressible fluids. The next item of discussion in our agenda is pressure measurement. You will be surprised to know that in many applications, pressure is the second most measured parameter, the first one being temperature. The question that strikes our mind is, first of all, why should we measure the pressure? The answer is endless. We know pressure is one of the forms of energy, and energy is the capacity to do work which is universal. For example, in manufacturing process, to obtain quality and consistency of the product, in automobiles, to ensure efficiency of the running of automobiles, to forecast rainfall, cyclones, depressions and their direction and magnitude, to measure the discharges using devices such as venturimeter, orifice meter, nozzle meter, to monitor health conditions on regular basis such as measurement of blood pressure, etc., to determine the liquid levels in the tanks and containers, to determine the densities of different liquids, to determine the temperature. With one statement, I convince you the importance of pressure measurement. Pressure requirements of an aircraft are different from that of a car engine. After being convinced with the importance of pressure measurement, let us see how pressure is measured. Yes, using mechanical gauges or electromechanical gauges or manometers, we achieve the objective. In mechanical gauges, the elastic pressure responsive element deflects when subjected to pressure. By some mechanical means, this deflection is magnified and read using a pointer moving against a graduated circumferential scale. In electromechanical gauges, the deflection is converted into electrical signal. At this stage, it may be noted that the deflection of the pressure responsive element is proportional to the applied pressure. In the case of manometers, which will be discussed in detail in the next part, the principle of balancing of fluid columns is used to determine the pressure or difference in pressure. Let us concentrate on different varieties of mechanical as well as electromechanical gauges. Let us recollect the famous proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. Now, Bourdon tube pressure gauge, diaphragm pressure gauge, deadweight pressure gauge, bellows pressure gauge, capsule type pressure gauge, spring diaphragm pressure gauge, that is a differential pressure gauge, strain gauge, pressure transducer, capacitive type of pressure transducer, linear variable differential transformer type of pressure gauge, and piezoelectric pressure transducer, and optical type pressure transducer, ring balance type pressure gauge, Mc-Lloyd gauge, thermal conductivity gauge, Pirani gauge, ionization gauge, pressure switches, pneumatic differential pressure transmitter, electronic differential pressure transmitter, smart and intelligent pressure transmitter. In order to optimize the time available, let us discuss the most widely used mechanical gauge, that is Bourdon tube pressure gauge. Bourdon tube pressure gauge. This is the most widely used mechanical gauge with a pressure measuring range of 6 newtons per square centimeter to 70,000 newtons per square centimeter. Invented in 1849 by Eugene Bourdon, a French engineer and innovator. It is made up of phosphor bronze, alloy steel, stainless steel, monoel metal or beryllium. The pressure responsive element, that is elastic transducer, is a hollow tube bent like a hook and has an elliptical cross section as shown in the figure. One end of the tube is sealed but free to move. The other end is open but soldered to the inlet point to allow the fluid under pressure to enter the pressure responsive tube. As soon as the fluid enters the tube, elliptical section tries to become circular and the hook shape tries to stretch to become straight. The movement of free end of the tube, which is proportional to the pressure, is transferred to the pointer through an adjustable link, pivot and a pinion. The pointer in turn indicates the pressure on a graduated circular scale. It may be noted that the gauge is calibrated to read 0 when the pressure inside the tube is atmospheric. By changing the material properties of the tube, wide range of pressures including negative gauge pressures can be measured using Bourdon tube pressure gauge. The following are the advantages of Bourdon tube pressure gauge. Output is reliable, low cost and simple in construction. As we have seen just now, can be altered to give electrical outputs. It is safe for high pressure measurements also. The disadvantages are slow response to pressure changes, suffers from hysteresis and sensitive to sudden pressure changes and vibrations, cannot be used for highly viscous and crystallizing fluid. Various precautions to be taken while using gauges are tube material properties to be immune to fluid properties, no chemical reactions between the fluids and the materials of the gauge. Pressure must be within the scale value. Majority of the gauges are very sensitive to pressure surges and fluctuations. Hence, these have to be avoided during the pressure measurements. Avoid excessive temperature. We have to avoid hazardous areas while measuring the pressures. Operations, maintenance and repairs, whether it is mechanical or electrical, must be carried out by qualified technical staff. Always replace the damaged and worn out parts with a genuine spare parts. We have to use gauges only for intended application. To ascertain ourselves, let us discuss a few multiple choice questions on the topics discussed in this presentation. Now, the first one. The pressure in meters of oil having specific gravity of 0.8 equivalent to 80 meters of water is 64 meters, 80 meters, 100 meters and 88 meters. We know GWHW is equal to G naught H naught, where G is the specific gravity, H is the corresponding depth. So, the depth of oil required to create the same pressure as created by 80 meters of water is 100 meters. So, the answer is C. Mercury is considered as a superior barometric fluid, chiefly due to its higher vapor pressure, higher specific heat, high specific gravity, convex meniscus. High specific gravity C. Absolute pressure in a flow system is always above local atmospheric, is equal to a vacuum pressure, may be above, below or equal to the local atmospheric pressure, is also called negative pressure. Absolute pressure can be above, below or equal to the local atmospheric pressure. C. Bourdon gauge is used for the measurement of gauge pressures of gas and liquid, only for liquids, only for gases, gas, liquid and solid. The answer is A, gas and liquid. Pressure of 250 kilopascals is equivalent to a head of H meters of a fluid of relative density 1.65, where H is equal to 14.55 meters, 15.44 meters, 44.15 meters, 51.44 meters. It is given in terms of relative density. It must be converted into equivalent specific weights. It comes to 15.44 meters. B. Which of the following equations relating pressure variation dP with a depth dz of fluid is correct? dP is equal to minus sigma dz, dz is equal to minus gamma dP, dP by dz is equal to plus sigma, dP is equal to minus gamma dz. We know pressure decreases in the vertically upward direction. D. Three fluids A, B and C with the densities D1 is to D2 is to D3 is same as 1 is to 2 is to 1.5 exert same pressure on a plane. If the depth of fluid A needed to exert that pressure is 15 centimeters, then the corresponding depths of fluids B and C in centimeters respectively are 7.5 and 10, 30 and 22.5, 10 and 15, 10 and 7.5. As discussed earlier, for a given pressure, density and depth are inversely related. A. As per the details shown in calculations below. Minimum atmospheric pressure required by a human being to survive is dash atmospheres, not less than 0.5, not less than 0.75, not more than 0.5, not less than 1. A. In a Bourdon pressure gauge, dash is converted to dash angular momentum, linear velocity, angular moment, linear reading, pressure, force, pressure, displacement. D. At a place M, it is found that the density of atmosphere is 1.3 kilograms per cubic meter and atmospheric pressure as 100.7 kilopascals. Then the height of atmospheric column is 7896.2 meters, 8796.2 meters, 101.3 meters, 2631 meters. As shown below, it comes to 7896.2 meters. The answer is A. At a point A, the barometer reading is 706 millimeters of Hg. If absolute pressure at A is 396 millimeters of Hg, then pressure at A, taking the standard atmospheric pressure as 760 millimeters of Hg, is 310 millimeters of Hg positive gauge, 364 Hg positive gauge, 364 Hg negative gauge, 310 millimeters of Hg vacuum. At A, the local atmospheric pressure is 706 millimeters of Hg as it is the barometer reading at that place. The reading of 760 millimeters is given only to confuse and mislead. Absolute pressure at A is 396 millimeters of Hg, then the pressure at A as shown in figure is 706 minus 396, 310 millimeters of Hg vacuum. D. Fluid pressure at a point is influenced by its position below the surface, specific gravity of the fluid, acceleration due to gravity, and all the above. The answer is D. Minimum absolute pressure required by a human being to survive is dash atmosphere, not less than 0.5, not more than 0.75, not more than 0.5, not less than 1. The answer is A. Bourdon tube pressure gauge can be used to measure the pressure of highly viscous and crystallizing fluids. Yes or no? No. Diaphragm gauge can be used to measure the pressure of highly viscous and crystallizing fluids. Yes or no? Yes. A pressure transducer converts applied pressure into a measurable electrical signal. Yes or no? yes. Which of the following statements is correct in Torricelli's experiment? Vacuum is developed at the top of the barometer. Vacuum is developed at the bottom of the barometer. Vacuum is developed at the center of the barometer. The answer is A. Now let us work out descriptive type of problems. A vacuum gauge connected to a cylinder is found to display a reading of 35 kilopascals. The local atmospheric pressure at that particular place of measurement is 100 kilopascals. What is the corresponding absolute pressure in the cylinder? It is a problem on pressure conversion. Vacuum pressure inside the cylinder is 35 kilopascals, whereas local atmospheric pressure is 100 kilopascals. What are the assumptions? Continuum is valid, no experimental error, gauge is assumed to be accurate. What is the absolute pressure inside the cylinder? From the data we know the pressure inside the cylinder is less than atmospheric, that is vacuum pressure 35 kilopascals. So from the figure given below, atmospheric pressure is 100 kilopascals. Therefore, absolute pressure at A is 100 minus 35, 65 kilopascals. The answer is 65 kilopascals. It is decided to infuse intravenous fluid, IV fluid, to a patient with a fluid having a density of 1 gram per cc. It was found from the patient's body that the pressure at the entry of the vein is 70 millimeters of Hg above atmospheric pressure. What should be the height of intravenous bag above the entry point of the vein? So it is a problem on field application of pressure measurements. Density of the IV fluid is 1 gram per cc. Pressure at the entry of the vein of the patient is 70 millimeters of Hg, positive gauge pressure. Continuum is valid. There are no leakages of the fluid anywhere. IV bag is collapsible. The height of the intravenous bag above the entry point is to be determined to maintain the pressure of 70 millimeters of Hg or even above. We know if the IV fluid has to be infused into the vein of the patient, the pressure of the IV fluid at the entry must be more than the pressure at the entry of the vein. The hint here is that the bag must be kept at such a height that it should not create any pressure less than 70 millimeters of Hg. As shown in the figure, we can see the relative positions of the hand of the patient as well as the bag. 760 millimeters of Hg is equal to 101,430 pascals. Therefore, 17 millimeters of Hg is equal to 2269 pascals. But pressure is equal to specific void times depth. So therefore, rearranging the above equation, H is equal to P by gamma, it comes to 23 centimeters. So the position of the bag above the entry point is 23 centimeters. Before winding up the second part of 3-part series on pressure and its measurement, let us sum up. We had an illustrated discussion on types of pressure, variation of pressure with a depth, and pressure measurement, mainly concentrating on gauges and that too on Bourdon type of pressure gauge. And we have solved a few multiple choice questions and also problems in between intercepted by the questions that may most probably be asked in the interview. Before signing off, I request you to leave your comments in the comment section to enhance communication between us. Like and share the video among your friends and concerned. Subscribe to my channel by clicking the bell icon, the best way of getting updated with the information on the latest videos pertaining to the other topics of fluid mechanics, hydraulics and hydrology in addition to career planning. Thank you very much and wish you an excellent future.